The polar bear, Pete Alonso, makes history as the Mets look to snap their 7-game losing streak against Spencer Strider, his fantastic mustache, and the Atlanta Braves. This is MLB Game Night.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Hey there, baseball fans. Welcome into MLB Game Night, every game, every night. I am one of your hosts, Shady Hafron from Locked On Cardinals. With me is a man who is one half of a very happy Locked On Angels this evening and is also the owner of an immaculate collection of garden gnomes. Not creepy at all. His name is Mr. Jon Frisch. Say hello to him. Coming up on today's show, one of the best games in Freeway Series history, John, as the Dodgers and Angels had to go to extras to settle things. Brewers went for their 11th win in a row, but they had to get through ERA leader Paul Skenes to do it. The Mariners go for their 8th win in a row. Tigers on the verge of collapsing. We're going to talk about all of it. Today's show being brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. But as you heard in the opener, we're going to start with the Braves and the Mets. The Mets need a win, and they needed one badly. They had lost 7 in a row. Things are spiraling out of control. All of New York is angry at them. They're just upset where you have all of these guys. You have a Soto, you have an Alonso, you have a Lindor, and somehow, some way, you've lost 7 in a row. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They're hosting the Atlanta Braves in Queens, hoping to take game 1 of this 3-game set. And it would be Polar Pete Alonso, leading the way to a Mets win over Atlanta and making Mets history along the way. Let's hear from Ryan from Locked On Mets on how Pete Alonso stands alone and put himself in the Mets history books.
All knew it was going to happen at some point this season, but it is now finally official. Pete Alonso is the all-time leader in home runs for the New York Mets, the reigning Mets home run king, and he does it in an absolute blowout victory over the Atlanta Braves. This is Ryan Finkelstein, the host of Locked On Mets, and on tomorrow's show, sure, we'll talk a little bit about Clay Holmes' bad start. We'll talk about some of those things, but most of what we're going to spend the show on is the fact that Pete Alonso has made history and he led a home run party. Actually, Francisco Alvarez helped with that. He went yard first, and then Pete Alonso did. There was 6 home runs hit by the Mets, 4 by those two by Alvarez, 2 by Alonso, and the Mets end up beating the Braves in a rout 13-5. But such an awesome moment for Pete Alonso, who was drafted by the Mets, developed by the Mets, and spent his entire career with the Mets, came back in free agency and took a contract that was a lot shorter in length than many expected he would get. But that's what the market dictated, and he wanted to come home. Everyone knew he wanted to come home to the New York Mets, not only because that's where he's always wanted to play, but because that record was in sight, and now he officially has it. And he could just keep padding it because there's still plenty of time left this season, and hopefully for many seasons to come for Pete Alonso to make that an untouchable record for the New York Mets. But he has done it. He has passed Darryl Strawberry. Nobody has hit more home runs in a Mets uniform than Pete Alonso.
Yeah, congratulations to Pete Alonso. Just been mashing since day one. Since he got called up to the Mets. There were a lot of home runs in this game, weren't there, John? We had 6 total for the Mets in this one. You had 2 from Pete. You got 2 from Francisco, 1 from Brandon Nimmo, and 1 from Brett Beatty. So many home runs, they actually announced that they ran out of fireworks. Have you ever been at a game where they ran out of pyrotechnics because there were too many home runs hit?
Yeah, not in any game that I've been to. The only time I would expect the Angels to run out of fireworks is if Angels owner Artie Moreno didn't pay the bill, but he's all about the entertainment value at Angel Stadium. Yeah, they had a graphic on screen. Due to too many Mets home runs, we have unfortunately run out of fireworks for the night. We apologize for the inconvenience. I don't think that was inconvenient to any Mets fans in the stands, JD.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have, that you're running out of them because you're doing so well. Ryan brought this up actually, John. Were you surprised this offseason when the free agent market for Alonso wasn't more exciting? I was a bit shocked. He only got 2 years, $54 million. He can opt out after this year, but a guy that's been as consistent as he is, age 30, at least 4 or 5 really strong years, I would think, still to go. Obviously, you can move him to DH later on if you need to. Were you a little shocked, like I was, that it just wasn't a better market for him?
Yeah, there was a lot of trepidation around the league. And, he had by Pete standards, down year in 2024. It wasn't one of his better years. It was still a great year for, many first basemen around the league. And so I think that caused a little bit of trepidation. But look, he needs to stay a Met. He needs to be a Met for life. That's who he came up with. He's obviously broken this record of Darryl Strawberry. In fact, he broke it and then extended it in this game with the 2 home runs that he got. And so for me, I think that, whatever happens after this year, they've got to lock him up because he is just such an anchor of this Mets team. It wouldn't be the Mets without Pete Alonso. So I'm hopeful that he sticks around with them.
Yeah, it'd be weird to see him anywhere else. There was rumors that the Angels were a team that was actually interested in him too.
Would have said yes.
Probably got you a little excited there. I don't know if you got as excited as you did tonight after tonight's game because Dodgers and Angels were going to LA next. Let's let the man himself, Jon Frisch, part of Locked On Angels, take over here. You tell us what happened in this game because it was an exciting one.
This was one of the best games I've ever seen. And of course, it's that much sweeter with an Angels win. The Angels won this one 7-6 in 10 innings. Should have been 9, JD. And I believe you were tuned in for the ending of this one as well, where the bases were loaded, 2 outs. Taylor Ward is at the plate. He's already homered in this one. Ben Kasparius throws 3 pitches outside the zone, somehow gets a strike 1 call on what should have been ball 4 to walk Taylor Ward and walk in that run from third base in the 9th inning. That didn't matter. There was so much that happened in this game, including a triple play. One of the coolest triple plays that you'll ever see. It was Shohei Ohtani at the plate, runners on second and first, nobody out. Looked like this was going to be trouble for Angels pitcher Brock Burke. But Shohei lines one back to Neto. Neto catches it, steps on second for the second out, throws back to first to get Nolan Shonwell to tag Dalton Rushing out, who then looked like he got hit by a sniper in the stands because he slipped and fell over on first base. But it was a triple play, and it was awesome, and it certainly kept the momentum in the Angels' favor. These guys scored 5 runs in the first few innings and then didn't score for the next couple until Shohei Ohtani came back to bat, and his next at bat hits a huge Barry Bonds-esque home run, which I've seen many of those from Shohei at Angel Stadium. And so he made it 6-5. The Angels were able to tie it up with a sac fly in the 9th, and they took it to extra innings where Joe Adell was able to walk it off. But I mentioned Taylor Ward. JD, do you know the American League leaders for RBIs? Obviously, Cal Raleigh.
Yeah, I was going to say, I assume it's the big dumper.
It's the big dumper. Who do you think would be second on that list?
Somebody in this game, an Angel, perhaps, I would think.
Not Aaron Judge as of last night, because Taylor Ward has the second most RBIs in the American League, obviously behind Cal Raleigh. So, he's not going to be MVP, but considering the season he's been having, he hit his 28th home run of the season. He might be in the, he might get a gimme vote here or there in MVP voting for the American League. So just a great night for him all around. This one didn't start too eventful either. It was Emmett Sheehan on the mound versus Angels Victor Medeiros, who they called up from AAA, giving him his first start in the major leagues. And it was uneventful until it wasn't. And honestly, it was one of the best Freeway Series games I've ever seen. The Angels have now won 5 in a row this season against the Dodgers. They could sweep the season series with a win on Wednesday, but Shohei Ohtani is on the mound, so we'll see what happens and what gives between the Angels and the Dodgers.
And you got to be pretty proud of your Angels team, because a moment like that for Shohei in the 9th where he hits the home run and everybody's like, oh, Shohei got him.
Right.
And then for you guys to answer back, tie things up. Taylor Ward actually had a chance to win it in that 9th inning, ended up striking out swinging. But that's a big win for the Angels, man. That's got to feel good for you guys. Congratulations.
Feel
on
good
that.
win for sure.
Speaking of winning, the Brewers, they have won 10 in a row. It doesn't seem like anybody can stop them. But if there was somebody who at least stood a chance. Paul Skenes, that's who they were facing tonight. Could he tame the crew? You're going to find out next on MLB Game Night. Today's show is being brought to you by OpenPhone. Now, if you are running a business, you know that every single missed call is like money left on the table. It's bad. No. Can't have that happen. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, maybe something with the air conditioning here in the summer. You call one number, they don't answer, you move on to the next one. Well, if you're running a business and you're that first person they call and you didn't answer, you're losing out on money. Can't have that happen. That's why you have to have a reliable business line. It's why it's so important and why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app or on your phone, or you can have it on your computer. Have you ever had to juggle 2 phone lines to keep business and personal calls separate? OpenPhone solves that problem. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. That way you're on the same page. You got AI agents will handle your after-hours calls, answers common questions, and captures leads so you never miss a customer again. And OpenPhone is offering a Locked On MLB Game Night listeners 20% off your first 6 months, and you can do that at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's OpenPhone.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, good news, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. I don't want to say the Milwaukee Brewers are a surprise team, but I don't think many people had them winning as many games as they have already this season. I think most people thought they were going to be a winning club, just not like this, because they're just mowing through the competition, John. And tonight they're at home taking on the Pirates. And, you know, the Brewers have won 10 in a row. Again, this isn't the first time. Right. But surely you're going to go up against Paul Skenes, right? He's going to slow them down. He's the ERA leader. Well, let's find out what happened. We got Chuck from Locked On Brewers with the scoop.
With Paul Skenes on the hill, you think that this is going to be a little bit tighter game than it was. Not with the Milwaukee Brewers, though. Hey, everybody, Chuck Freeman, Instant Reaction, Locked On Brewers. Brewers put up 5 home runs. They put the pressure on Skenes early. They scored in all but one of the first 4 innings, and he was out of there after 4 innings. And the Brewers just hammered at these guys all night long. Now, the Pirates contributed somewhat to this game. I mean, the Brewers were great, but the Pirates threw the ball around a little bit, committed some mistakes, and showed why they're a last-place team. And they can't do that against the Brewers, even with Skenes on the field. Brewers have beaten Skenes twice here at AmFam Field this year. Going for the sweep of the series with Woodruff on the hill on Wednesday afternoon, and going for 12 in a row. And the free hamburgers from George Webb. See it a little bit later on tonight on the next edition of Locked On Brewers. Please subscribe.
You heard
12.
That right, John.
12's the magic number. I love it.
12 is the magic number. And I mean, who's going to stop them? Nobody. 14 runs on 15 hits in this one. The only starter without a hit was, of course, Isaac Collins. Naturally, after I told everyone to grab him in fantasy last night, I even told you, I was like, yeah, pick this guy up. He's really good. Of course, he's the one who goes over. But they hit 5 home runs, as Chuck mentioned. They walk 5 times. They go 6 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Skeen throws 93 pitches and lasts just 4 innings, allows 4 runs on 6 hits, 2 home runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. They just wore him out. That's what they do. And as great as the offense was, the thing that gets forgotten is how good Freddie Peralta was in this one. 6 shutout innings, 7 Ks, ho-hum. First to win 14 games in the major leagues. Chuck doesn't even talk about him because the offense was so good. ERA now at 2.90. My question for you, John. Freddie Peralta, Cy Young worthy. Tied for the most starts in Major League Baseball with 25. Most wins in 14. 7th in ERA. 9th in the NL in strikeouts. Number 1 pitcher on the best team in baseball. Your thoughts on whether people will actually think about him when it comes around to Cy Young talk at the end of the season?
Yeah, he's going to get that boost from the fact that he's a Brewer, right, with the best record in baseball, and we'll see if they carry that to the end of the season. You know, those numbers are great. 7th in ERA, 9th in strikeouts, but man, I don't know, JD. Is it the cachet, the name value? I just don't know if that's going to be enough for
Not
Freddie
sexy
Peralta.
Enough, you think?
Yeah. I mean, you know, you're going to look around the league and find, you know, a lot of comparable pitching. So, but again, I think he'll be boosted by that, the fact that he's on the Brewers. it'll make for an interesting Cy Young race. I don't think it'll be, an obvious choice. And I think that he'll certainly be there at the top when this season is said and done.
Yeah, a guy that I think a lot of people might have in the number one spot, Zach Wheeler, plays for a team called the Philadelphia Phillies. They were in action. They were in Cincinnati tonight to face the Reds. Phillies got to the Reds late on Monday to steal a win. How would they fare on Tuesday against the Red starter Brady Singer? Jeff Carr of Locked on Reds pretty disappointed after last night's win, if you guys remember, because their ace Andrew Abbott wasn't able to seal the deal basically at the end of that game. But it was the Phillies fans who were left disappointed in their starter Ranger Suarez after this one. Let's turn it over to Mark from the Locked on Phillies postcast, who has more on that start.
Struggles continue for Ranger Suarez as the Phillies take a 6-1 loss to the Cincinnati Reds, allowing Cincy to even up this series at a game apiece. Suarez lasted 5 1/3, throwing 92 pitches. He was charged for all 6 runs that the Reds scored, and he also surrendered a season-high 10 hits in the game. Suarez has struggled over his last 6 starts. He's just 1-4 over that span, and he's seen his ERA go from 1.99 to now 3.28 overall on the season. As he was taken out of the game in the loss, you could see he was visibly upset with home plate umpire Willie Traynor. But this goes on at least the last 3 starts now for Suarez, where each time he's seen his ERA climb up substantially, start after start after start. As for the offense, no run support again for the second straight day while the starting pitcher was in the ballgame. The only run the Phillies mustered was Bryce Harper's solo home run in the top of the ninth.
All right. Cut off there, I guess. Okay.
minute exactly.
Anyway, he was that worked up about it. Well, let's head over to Jeff Carr from Locked on Reds. We brought him up a moment ago. Here's his thoughts on how the bats came alive for Cincinnati in this win over Philly.
Lineup finally did its job on Tuesday night, and the Cincinnati Reds beat the Philadelphia Phillies. Hey, look at that. Still ain't been swept in 2025. It's great to see because this lineup absolutely missed the mark on Monday night. Only gave Andrew Abbott 1 run worth of support. And then on Brady Singer's night, they went crazy. You saw great clutch hitting from Spencer Steer. Miguel Andujar with his first bomb at Great American Ballpark. I'm expecting more where that came from. And they played add-on late like you're supposed to, and they were able to just make sure that the Phillies were not going to be able to come back in this one. Nice outing for Brady Singer and for the bullpen as well. Sam Ball gives up a home run to Bryce Harper. People tend to do that. He's pretty good at baseball. But all in all, this was a great night for the Cincinnati Reds. Looked a lot better, and now you get Hunter Green back. They got a real shot here to take this series. Could be interesting to see what the Reds have for us on Wednesday.
Yep, the up and down season for the Reds continues. One days they can't hit, other days they come alive and they hit just fine. So we'll see how that roller coaster continues for them tomorrow. Twins at Yankees. Yankees enjoyed a win over the Twins on Monday night, something they desperately needed. Things haven't gone well with them. They look to keep the winning going on Tuesday to help turn things around in New York. We got Brian from Locked On Yankees with us, and he's going to let us know how the Yankees kept it rolling in the Bronx.
Solid win for the Yankees behind potentially Carlos Rodon's best start as a Yankee. I'm Brian McKeon from Locked On Yankees. First of all, the offense. What a night, right? Giancarlo Stanton with a 4-hit night. Jazz Chisholm Jr. having hit a triple of his own. What an outstanding night for him. The offense clicked. The pitching was fantastic. Rodon probably would have stuck out for a complete game if this was the 90s. Overall, all in all, a great performance and the way the Yankees need to win games. Now, I know it's the Twins, and they are 36-5 against them in the last 41 games. But as we say, a win is a win, and the Yankees need to keep doing that. So a great performance out of all. Carlos Rodon was absolutely elite when he needed to. Let's see if the Yankees can continue this behind their new starting catcher, Ben Rice. We'll be breaking all of it down on Locked On Yankees.
36-5. I would say that's we call that domination, don't we, John?
That's okay.
Not bad. It was an electric start for Rodon. 7 innings, 1 hit, and an earned run that came in that first inning. He kept the Twins hitless through the next 6 innings. He mentioned Ben Rice behind the dish now gets him and Paul Goldschmidt in the lineup at the same time, which feels like something that maybe they should have done a little bit longer ago and figured that one out. But it looks like they finally got it straightened out, and they'll be in the lineup together moving forward. Now, coming up, remember when the Guardians lost 10 in a row, John, and we thought that season's over, they're toast. Well, guess what? They're back. AL Central's getting exciting again. We'll talk about that. Plus, the Mariners go for 8 wins in a row. This is MLB Game Night. Today's episode being brought to you by Game Time. Now, we've all been there, logging on early, waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale. I don't know if you have any favorite bands, but it's happened to me multiple times. You're waiting, and then something glitches with an app or something, and you lose your spot, and you're just upset, right? You're angry. Live music, it's not supposed to be about that stuff. It's about making memories and having a good time, and that's where Game Time comes in to make those memories come true. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices, they actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. If you're tired of endless scrolling, trying to find the best deal, this is where Game Time is going to help you out with the zone deals. Pick the best seats in your section for you. If you're thinking about the view, is my view going to be good? Guess what? The app shows you panoramic seat view, so there's no surprises, and the price you see is the price you pay. There are no hidden fees, one of my favorite things about the Game Time app. Plus, they got that Game Time guarantee, got your back with cancellation protection and more. So take the guesswork out of buying your concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. You know, it wasn't that long ago that the AL Central was a foregone conclusion, that it was going to be the Detroit Tigers are running away with everything. Nobody's going to catch them. Kind of like how the Brewers are right now in the NL Central. Well, things have changed a little bit, and we're going to start with the Guardians. They were at home tonight taking on the Marlins. The Guardians have their fans saying, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. What movie is that from, John? Do you know?
It's Godfather, baby. Come on, let's go.
That's right. That's right. Godfather Part 3, actually, which normally people don't like all that much, but that's where that quote comes from. After the All-Star break, the Guardians were 47-49. They had just lost Emmanuel Clase. They've lost Ortiz with those gambling things. And then they were down in the AL wildcard race. But things have changed. They are now one game back of a wildcard spot, 15-7 since the break, and they look to collect a win in their series opener against the Miami Marlins, who up until recently really had a nice little run going of their own. So we got Justin from Locked On Guardians on who clutched up for Cleveland in this one.
It was only a matter of time for Jose Ramirez to come through and become Jose Ramirez for the Guardians once again, and thankfully for the Guardians, it was when they absolutely needed him most. What's up? This is Justin Latta from Locked On Guardians. Jose Ramirez, a home run in the first inning, home run in the 8th inning to put the Guardians ahead 4-3. They beat the Marlins 4-3 in the end. It's been a rough stretch for Jose recently. We talked about how the rest of the lineup has been kind of carrying them while he and Stephen Kwan have kind of slumped a little bit. But of course, Jose Ramirez comes up clutch when the Guardians needed him most with 2 home runs to win this game. He now passes Jim Thome and Albert Bell for most multi-homer games in franchise history. Those are not 2 names you would think Jose Ramirez would stand next to because they're all about a foot taller than him. Unbelievable. Just absolutely unbelievable by Jose Ramirez. They absolutely needed him, and he came through. A good win for the Guardians. The bullpen came in. Nick Enright, Eric Sabrowski, Hunter Gaddis, Cade Smith. No problem after a rough day from Logan Allen. Control-wise, the Guardians able to keep pace as the Yankees win. The Tigers look like they're going to win, so it's an important win for the Guardians to stay hot and stay in this race. We'll have it all covered for you on Locked On Guardians. Make sure you don't miss an episode.
Oh, did you think the Tigers won, Justin? Okay, well, that's why we play 9 innings in this league, buddy. And we're going to take you to that game right now. Tigers at the White Sox. Last year, Jack Flaherty. I'm familiar with him because he was a Cardinal coming up. He was kind of a revelation for the Tigers. You know, he signed like a 1-year deal with them, and there wasn't much all expected from him. And he was really, really good last year. This year, it's been a lot different for Jack. The White Sox got him for 5 runs on 8 hits in just 4 1/3 innings tonight, all 5 coming in the 5th inning which gave Chicago a 5-1 lead, and they never looked back. They end up taking this one by a score of 9-6. Really wasn't that close. Detroit scored 3 runs in the last inning to make it look a little bit better. But the story of this one on the White Sox side of things, rookie Colson Montgomery continues to pile up the RBIs, John. He had 2 more tonight and now has 26 since the All-Star break, which trails only the Phillies' Cal Schwarber. The White Sox, number 3 prospect per MLB Pipeline. He's driven in at least 1 run in 15 of 23 games after the All-Star break. So that's something that isn't really getting talked about a whole lot nationally, but he's been really, really good for them. Jack Flaherty, though, has now lost 12 games this year. 12 games, the most of any starter in the American League, and it's a career high for the 29-year-old right-hander. Last year, the ERA, as I mentioned, very, very good, 2.95 for Detroit before they traded him to the Dodgers, where he went on to win a ring. This year, he's at 4.76. The loss and another Cleveland win, who is now 8-2 in their last 10, has the Guardians now at 5.5 back in the division. Nobody saw that coming. And of course, Justin mentioned how close they are in the wild card. How big of a collapse would this be if Detroit ends up allowing Cleveland to catch up, where it ends up they have to play each other and it could swing the lead in the division?
Yeah, considering how long the Tigers had the best record in baseball for so long this season, and for the Guardians to do what they've done, man, it's just been an incredible run for them. Everybody was talking about, trading Stephen Kwan, you're out Emmanuel Clase and Ortiz, and here they are. Bieber's right, gone. They traded Bieber to the Blue Jays, so it looked like it was headed one direction at the trade deadline, and all of a sudden, man, what is it? It just takes like a week and a half, and your entire season can turn around, JD.
Yeah, and that's what, think about that when you're thinking about your team and you're mad at them like I am. I'm mad at my team right now for what they just did tonight. Think about that before you start flipping out, the season's over, because look, that's how quick things can change. And things are moving along in the AL Central, and it's shocking a lot of people. All right, Red Sox, Astros, 2 teams that look like they're probably going to go to the playoffs. Houston reunion continued Tuesday night as Alex Bregman and the Sox meet Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, and the Astros for Game 2 of this 3-game series. Astros ran away with the lead early last night, but the Red Sox made it interesting but came up short. How would things happen tonight behind Dustin May in his second start for Boston? Let's turn it over to Gabby of Locked On Red Sox to find out.
Dustin May's statement win tonight proved that he can be a key piece of the Red Sox pitching staff come the postseason. I'm Gabby Maljanian from Locked On Red Sox, and Boston defeated the Houston Astros 14-1 on the road tonight with an absolute beatdown by the bats against the Astros bullpen. But most notably from this game was the dominant start from Dustin May, who threw 6 innings, giving up 5 hits and no runs, and he absolutely crushed it. He got lots of swing and miss stuff with 8 strikeouts in this game. And one of the most notable differences between his first start and this one was he actually had control of his sweeper. He tried throwing that in his first start, wasn't really feeling it, and couldn't really gain the command that he needed on it. So he had to lean a lot more on his fastball and his cutter. He was able to feel the sweeper a lot more in his second start. So it allowed him to be a lot more comfortable on the mound. If he continues to throw like that, he'll be key for the Red Sox, either out of the rotation or as a long relief guy. Tune into Locked On Red Sox on any podcast platform for more.
Yeah, Red Sox blast the Houston Astros in this one by a score of 14-1. We've talked about it. Dustin May, he's nasty when he's on, dude. He's one of the more unhittable guys in the league. You just got to keep him healthy. Moving on to the Cubs at the Blue Jays. Blue Jays trying to continue their matchups with the National League after embarrassing the Rockies last week. They dropped 2 of 3 to the Dodgers. Back home hosting the Chicago Cubs and another good test for the Jays. Meanwhile, the Cubs just trying to figure out what is going on with them. Sam Olber of Locked On Cubs is ready for anything to change.
The Cubs threw more helmets and bats today than they did score runs. I'm Sam Olber from the Locked On Cubs podcast, and I think I'm going to just start playing. I'm going to record one post-game reaction and just play it over and over again because it applies to almost every game. You ready? Cubs didn't score enough runs today. The middle of the order, Seiya, Tucker, and PCA specifically really struggled, especially with men on. They weren't able to score. They scored 1 run total, and that was the difference in the game. Javier Assad made his season debut on Tuesday night. It did not go well for him against a very good Blue Jays lineup, but the story of the game, the story of this season continues. The Cubs offense is broken. I believe they need to make a change, whether that's call up one of the young kids in the minor leagues, flip around the batting order, put somebody on the IL, give them a break, whatever it is. You can't just keep hoping things are going to change. You have to do something about it, and quick. Fun solo show with me coming up tonight. A lot to discuss.
All right, yeah. Questions abound for the Chicago Cubs right now as the struggles continue for them. John, why don't you take us to Baltimore, where the Mariners and the Orioles had themselves a bit of a pitcher's duel, didn't they?
Yeah, we got a great pitcher's duel between George Kirby and Dean Kramer. Hey, buddy. It was George Kirby going 7 innings strong, 3 hits, 7 Ks, didn't give up a run. Dean Kramer goes 8 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 6 Ks. He takes the tough luck loss as the Mariners collected that 8th win in a row. They've gone 10-1 since the trade deadline. It was a 1-0 victory, and it came off a Josh Naylor RBI that drove in Randy Arozarena. Cal Raleigh, 0 for 4, and a big dump on my fantasy team today.
Speaking of big dumps, Rockies and Cardinals. My Cardinals, man, they were feeling really good about themselves, taking 2 out of 3 against both the Dodgers and the Cubs. They won game 1 of this series against the Rockies, but then tonight, Kyle Freeland just completely shuts them down. 2-12 on the year, and of course he comes in because the Cardinals can't hit left-handed pitching very well, and he shuts them out. The Rockies take this one by a score of 3-0. 2 shutouts for the Rockies so far this year, both against the St. Louis Cardinals. That's a lot of fun. Nationals and Royals. After the Royals took game 1 thanks to 2 two-run home runs from Salvador Perez and Kyle Isbell. A day later, the Royals got a career game from Vinny Pasquantino, a.k.a. the Pasquatch. Puts up 5 RBIs with a double sac fly and 3-run home run as well on this one. Royals do get back to 500 and for just the second time since June. So they're not out of it yet. Rays at the A's. 2 teams with out a permanent home meeting for game 2 in Sacramento as the A's look to bounce back from a 7-4 loss against the Rays last night. And it was Jacob Lopez facing off against his former team. And he had a great start. 7 inning pitched, 4 hits, scoreless ball, 9 strikeouts. A's end up shutting out the Rays by a score of 6-0. Padres at Giants. John, how did it go there?
Padres fans are thanking Angels fans because the Padres took this one 5-1 over the Giants. And now they are tied for first place in the National League West at 68-52. Padres fans, you're welcome. Jason Adam gets his 8th win of the season. Good stuff from the Padres offense. They scored 4 in the first 4 innings, and then a 2-run shot, not by Tatis, not by Machado, but Jose Iglesias. It was a OMG party, his first home run of the season. Nestor Cortez just allowed 1 run in 4 2/3 innings as he works his way back into a full-time starting role, and then he hands it off to the bullpen, who fired 4 shutout innings. Again, Padres 5-1 over the Giants, tied for the National League West first place spot with the Dodgers.
And finally, wrapping up with the Diamondbacks at the Rangers. Ketel Marte, the Diamondbacks, with the game winner in this one. 2 out top of the 9th, solo home run off new Rangers reliever Danny Colomé. Puts the D-backs over the Rangers 3-2. It wasn't a cheapie either. 445-foot shot. Perhaps he was venting some anger out on the baseball for his manager, Torey Lovullo, who was tossed right before that at bat for arguing balls and strikes. Rangers go 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. They fall to 6.5 back in the division and 3.5 back in the wild card. And that wraps it up. Thank you for joining us for this episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We do hope you'll come back and visit us next time on MLB Game Night, every game, every night.